Hi guys, it's Alex from Survival Courses Tasmania. Today we're going to actually simulate what it's like. We've actually got a beautiful day in Tasmania today, but we're going to simulate what it's like to try and light a fire in really wet conditions. And I know I've come to a really muddy puddle here. It's drying out pretty quickly on a day like today, but this is going to simulate if what quite often happens in a survival situation, it might be already raining, starting to rain, or it might have been raining for a while, when you need to get a fire for warmth, for cooking, for processing water lit. Okay, so we can still light a fire with a few sort of survival skills up our belt. One of which is we need to make sure that all of the kindling is bone dry on the inside. That's important, or of course it's not going to light. This would be silly of me to light a fire in a puddle. I would look for higher ground in the dry and so on. But I'm demonstrating here today and simulating really wet conditions. So much so that I'm actually going to take some of this additional kindling from my fire lay, and I'm actually going to soak it in water before I put it on the fire, and then I'm going to light it. Okay, so let me do that now. I'm going to really chuck this in and get this nice and wet. As you can see, that's wet. Then I'm going to lay it just on my fire lay here. This is a TP fire lay method. You can hear and see that is wet. Okay, so I'm going to put that, gently lay that on my fire lay. Make that good and wet. But, as I said before, this is dry inside. That's the important bit. Okay, that looks to be the last of it. Put that right deep underneath, nice and soggy and wet. Okay, what else do we need? Some? All right, okay. Now what I'm going to show you is inside the fire, some survival skills to really get past this wet kindling that I've got here now, and still hopefully we'll be able to light this. There's no guarantees. But inside what I've done, inside my fire lay, I've got a platform of rocks from this quarry lifting me up out of the water. That's the first thing. That's really important. My tinder, in this case, because it's just for demonstrating, this is actually what I tell everybody who comes on my courses to carry with them. I carry this whenever I go hiking. And this is cotton wool balls with a little bit of Vaseline dipped on them. So the petroleum jelly, I should be on commission for this, but the petroleum jelly is what we call in survival a fire extender. That's the difference here with wet kindling, dry inside, wet on the outside. That's the difference between getting a fire in the wet and not getting a fire at all. That's the fire extender. So, okay, now I'm gonna light this using a fire steel, and this probably won't go first time. Doesn't always, quite often doesn't. Either go first time, might take 2 or 3 or even more goes. We're just gonna keep at it. And I'm gonna light straight onto the tinder, and hopefully the rest of it should go up after that. Okay, all right. All right, we were lucky that time. It went first time. It doesn't always, believe me. Okay, so we've got really wet kindling. There's gonna be some hissing as this takes. Just gonna move that around, and put that back in my pocket. Okay, so this might take a little while to catch because everything is wet, like I said. So all I'm doing now is allowing lots of oxygen still, lots of air, but I'm just pulling this wet stuff as close as I can to the flame to allow it to dry out from being so wet before it takes. This is never going to be easy because conditions are soaking. This is simulating real world, which is what I teach, real world conditions in a very wet area, very wet conditions. I'm just going to move back a bit now that the flames are taking a bit. Okay, so you can see with the help of the petroleum jelly, it's just giving it that few seconds more, in fact, a minute or so more, to dry out the wet kindling, dry on the inside, wet on the outside, remember? Giving it enough time to actually catch the dry stuff. That's the key here. And see, we already have a decent fire starting, and you'd build on that